it took 2-3 months, I think, before I really got down on from some kind of fight-flight mode that I wasn't really aware of. Since I used it more on-off periods, not for maybe a year after I used it regularly, and then it's been more as a treatment, I would say.
So what do you do with coaching and therapy?
Welcome to the Miracle Plant Podcast, the show that inspires, promotes, and gives you a daily dose of inspiration from the people who have used cannabis to change their lives in extraordinary ways. Here's your host, Justin Benton.
Welcome back to the Miracle Plant Podcast, where we discuss this miracle plant with so many names and how it's helping people in so many extraordinary ways. Well, we are going across the pond. We're international. We're on a mission to heal the world. We've got a very special guest that's with us. Herman, we've had some crazy experiences over the past few years. Yeah. And I'll let Herman introduce himself, where he's from. And he's been a client of ours for a few years. And if at first you don't succeed, you try again, because different countries have different customs. And getting this miracle plant in the hands of our clients who need it around the world is not the easiest thing, but we always find a way. So Herman, welcome to the Miracle Plant Podcast. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from.
Thank you, Justin. I'm Herman from Norway, and I was so lucky to meet you for first time 5 years ago in Santa Barbara at the first CBD conference that was held there in 2019. And I was staying there for a longer period, going back because I studied there earlier in the 90s. And just experienced CBD then when I was there for the first time. And we've been trying to get it over here. Of course, we had a lot of communication about this, Justin. And you managed to send a couple of batches for testing, etc. But the law or the change in law here is not moving fast forward as we were hoping for, unfortunately.
So how many packages have we sent, and how many packages have you received in Norway? What'd you get?
Well, I'm not quite I'm not quite sure how many packages you actually sent. I think the first time it went through after one or two, or just first time it went through. That was in 2020 or something, I think. And then we tried a couple of years later during the pandemic. And of course, then the borders were much more controlled and shut. They took not only samples, they scanned everything going into Norway. Of course, Norway is a very small country. It's like a town in the States. It's 5 million people, so they can do that. Managed to do it. And then I think you sent 4, maybe, until it went through. And after it, because we don't get any message that it stopped in the customs. It just doesn't arrive, and you don't know where it is. And but after I got the package through, I also got a note from the police saying we have filed your case for illegal import. And I didn't know I had the case. And I was a bit shaking and thought, okay, well, we have to do this to try to change things. And then a week later, I got another letter with the same message.
Was it a different case or the same case?
That was a different one. So 2 of the parcels was definitely stopped. And that was only the sample, we had like 10, 15 bottles.
What ended up happening with the case, or what did you have to do to clear your name for it from getting hemp,
Oh, I didn't have to do that, because they just said that because of the evidence, it was just closed at the same time as it was informed to me. So what happened here when we were trying to do this more as a regular thing, the prospects of a change in jurisdiction was on its way, and there was a very close call for a proposition that would decriminalize all drugs, as they have done in several European countries, and especially then decriminalize cannabis, etc. And that would directly include CBD, because in Norway it's the whole hemp plant that is illegal. So you only have some things that is disclosed, like seeds, hemp fiber, and I think also, yeah, but that's very, very few parts of the hemp plant, which is very ironic because Norway used to be a very big naval nation with lots of sail ships, and of course the sails were made of hemp, the ropes in the ships was made of hemp, and there's been a lot of industrial hemp production in Scandinavia, and it still is in Denmark and Sweden today. But in Norway, when the ban came in the 60s or 70s, the whole plant. So it doesn't matter if it's CBD. You can get synthetic CBD now, but not the real thing.
Yeah, it's sad. We did the same thing in 1937. We passed the Marijuana Tax Act that basically made marijuana illegal and hemp illegal, which at the time, cannabis oil was the number one prescribed medicine for pain. Over 3 million prescriptions were written the year before. And the head of the American Medical Association went to Congress and said, "What have you guys done? You didn't consult with us. You took away one of our most powerful tools in the tool belt to help treat Americans." And not only did they do that, but they made it illegal to grow hemp. So it was illegal to grow hemp, which George Washington grew hemp here, and our forefathers, and Thomas Jefferson, our second president, said that hemp was a matter of national security. And in the colonial days, in the 1600s out here, it was required by law that if you were a farmer, you had to grow at least 1 acre of hemp because of that national security, because of its so many uses in those days. So the good news is we got our act figured out here in 2014, 2018. We had a couple bills that made it legal, but and we're kind of the beacons of light, for better or worse, in the world. And so hopefully other countries like Norway will figure out that there's a difference between hemp and cannabis. Cannabis is hemp, but there's a difference between hemp and marijuana. One's high in CBD, one's high in THC. One will get you healthy, one will get you high. And hopefully they'll take our lead. And so let me ask a little bit about. You said we were sending you some stuff, and I remember that Santa Barbara meeting. That was amazing. That was before, when everything was wild and crazy. 5 years ago or whatever. And what were you trying to do? Were you trying to do research? Were you trying to make a product? Remind me again of what you were looking to do with the raw CBDA.
I was very curious because I just heard about it, and this had sort of became a known product. And while I was there, I went to tested a couple of products, yours and another one from Ojai, CO2. I don't remember the name of it. It used to come in some kind of paper bottle thing. But I did it, and I did it twice a day. I started when I was there. I had this sort of a sabbatical for 2 months, and I wanted to go around and do some research in general on holistic treatments, holistic therapies. I also went to SLN, I went to Ojai, and then of course I stayed in Carpinteria outside Santa Barbara, and I saw this ad for the CBD conference. And I remember there was this ex-NFL player there who had been really badly damaged. I think we were in the same seminar, and how he described how using CBD had made him come back from incredible pain, trauma, physical pain. And the metaphor he used, I think it was him or maybe it was you. It was that when you have trauma, you have these neurotransmitters in the brain that grows out so that you will remember it, and not burn yourself on the stove again. But they stand there, and then they will remind you about this trauma all the time. And he said that the CBD for him was like cutting the hedges. It was cutting actually physically down these transmitters, so that the physical reminder of the trauma was gone. And that was really, as I've been working a lot with treating people in coaching and therapy, from that, it was very interesting. So I of course did that for myself to see if I could have the same effect, and I absolutely experienced it. After it took 2-3 months, I think, before I really got down on from some kind of fight flight mode that I wasn't really aware of. And since I used it more on off periods, not for maybe a year after I used it regularly, and then it's been more as a treatment, I would say.
So what do you do with coaching and therapy?
I used to run a coaching business that I started here in Norway back in '99. And from around 2000, I did that professionally for until 2017. I did also a lot of trainings, management courses, etc. But in those settings, when you work with high-profile managers or high-achieving people, and you get them one-on-one, and you are sitting down, and after a couple of sessions, you always come to the personal part, because, as you probably know, it's always personal. If a manager is very set on some kind of things, it's because he has some kind of drive that was made from some time in his past. So in order to change something, or if they want to achieve something and if something is hindering them or in the way, we have to help them remove that past, and remove usually some kind of trauma. It doesn't have to be a real, like a Dr. Phil trauma. It's just everything can become a trauma if it's repeated, if it's experienced as such at that time, at that age, and then it will just be a pattern that's moving. And of course, then using CBD to cut that hedge will help any therapist to get a client to move on, and especially get out of the fight flight state.
Absolutely.
I think.
Well, I want to reiterate too that for those that didn't pick up on it, like it sounds like we batted about 50%, maybe not even 50%, getting the packages over to you in Norway. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but what I'm trying to say is that we really are on a mission to heal the world. And we obviously lost money sending you those products, but that's not what it's about. We continued to send the products. We continued to pay the postage. You know what I mean? We continued. And why did we do that? Because that's the right thing. There is going to be a resistance out there. There is going to be people that are confused, or people that have ulterior motives. We have a lot of issues with big pharmaceutical companies out here that are very threatened by the power of this raw plant, the power of the cannabis plant for pain, stress, and sleep, not to mention other health, severe health ailments. So I just wanted to make sure everyone understood, and Herman was great. Herman was very patient. He would email us and work with Laura in the customer service department, and we would be like, okay, I guess we're sending them another one, because that's, you paid for your order, and we were willing to take a loss, because that we're on a mission to heal the world. This miracle plant helped my son with severe autism, who no longer carries a diagnosis. And if we've got to send 7 packages and, get 2 of them through, then that's what it takes. And, I'm like I said, I'm very hopeful in the very near future that the Scandinavia and other countries around the world understand the power of this plant, which has been around for 8,000 years, documented, going back to medical journals in the
Exactly.
Orient. So I'm happy that you were you were patient, and you finally
Yeah.
got your packages.
And we will not give up here. There is a big difference now in the laws in the 3 Scandinavian countries: Norway, Sweden, Denmark. And Denmark, of course. But Germany has opened up a lot. Spain has opened up. I think France is, a bit. UK is very open and free. You can get everything you want. And so there is a big difference. The hope is that the EU will organize these laws so that if it's a law in one country, the other countries has to follow, or they will do some kind of federal in a way, because EU is not like a it's not a federal like US. It's more a confederacy still. But that the big countries are going forward, the small countries like Scandinavia has to follow. And it was really sad during the COVID pandemic, when everything was closed down, that the opposition got ahead on this new legislation here. Otherwise, it would be open. And then it would be what we talked about 5 years ago, to get batches from you. Then we can get batches, we could brand it ourselves. We could be maybe one of the first with your miracle product, which I think I tested lots of Scandinavian, European versions, and it's not the same.
Yeah.
And if we could just get that over as one of the big providers, it would be fantastic.
Well, we'll do it. You know us, when I'll send it now, Herman. I'm not afraid, but I don't want you to get any more police letters. But
if it's too large, I don't think we have a chance to get it through. It has to be legal in some way, and then we'll find a way to send 100 gallons
yes.
at the time or something.
You know where to find us, and we will send it. And we love breaking through to new countries. And before COVID, we were going to open up distribution centers in Ireland. Was the plan, and COVID just messed everything up, slowed everything up, and we had to move in another direction to online, because people were really conditioned to shop online when they were staying at home. So that's where we are now. But I would love to support you in any way possible in opening up your own product line. We do white labeling, or private labeling is what it's called. Is we give you the materials. We'll even do some bottling for you if you need it. And you put your label on it, because it doesn't have to have our label to heal the world. It just has to have the product. And again, the reason why ours is different is because it's raw, it's cold pressed, it's whole plant, and that's the full potential of the plant. When you heat it, cook it, treat it, synthesize it, mess with it, it doesn't. It's raw CBDA is up to 1,000 times stronger, proven by Dr. Raphael Mechoulam, the godfather of cannabis medicine. So. Anyways, well, I'm excited we got a chance to connect. I know it's late out there in Norway, and I'm, proof's in the pudding. We'll figure it out. We'll just keep persevering. Herman, any final words or anything for the audience?
Yeah, just keep up the good work, Justin. And I'm really glad that we met all those years ago. And I was happy also to meet your wife and hear your story and what you've been achieved through this time. So I wish you still all the best for that. And I really hope that you manage to get a bridgehead in Europe, if it's Denmark, Ireland, maybe Norway,
it'll be Norway
or UK. It would be.
We'll plant a flag in Norway.
That's good.
Awesome.
We would love that.
On the count of 3, we're going to say heal the world. And you that are listening as well, join us, because that is the mission, to reach 1 billion people by 2025 about the power of this miracle plant, especially in the raw form. So on the count of 3, let's say heal the world, so those that out there can feel it, find it, and help them with their health challenge so they can find the power of this miracle plant. So on the count of 3, let's say heal the world. 1, 2, 3. Heal the world. All right. Well, thanks for swinging by the Miracle Plant Podcast, everybody. Be a blessing and happy healing.
Thanks for listening to today's show. To check out more great cannabis podcasts, go to PodConx.com. Here's a preview of one of our other shows.
Cannabis Health Radio is a podcast about stories from people around the world who have used cannabis to deal with serious ailments, many of them life-threatening. My name is Ian Jessup. My co-host Corey Yelland is no stranger to the devastating emotional impact faced by so many people receiving a death sentence diagnosis from a doctor. Told she only had months to live with anal canal cancer, Corey researched and immediately began using cannabis oil to eliminate her cancer and has been cancer-free for more than a decade. She told herself that if it worked, she would spend the rest of her life helping others, which she does tirelessly every day. When you listen to our podcast, you'll hear many stories like Corey's, along with others who have used cannabis oil for many more ailments besides cancer, such as chronic pain, PTSD, MS, and many, many more. As one of our guests said, "Your podcast gave me the confidence to save my own life." We regularly get messages from listeners who have heard our podcast and use cannabis to solve a serious health issue of their own or that of a loved one. We hope you listen to these stories and be as inspired and moved as we are with each and every episode.